at all surprised at the Chelsea performance going into that game? Because there was a lot of hype and a lot of mention around Spurs, but no one was really talking about Chelsea. But Thomas Tuchel got his tactics spot on, didn't he?
Yeah, and he normally does, especially big games like that when rivalries are involved. And, you know, Spurs have made really good signings this year. They've got Antonio Conte. We know how good he is. But at the same time, I think people are forgetting the level that we're at and what we're trying to achieve this season as well. And I think you could see that from every player. They 100% from Mendy to our players up top as well. And it's just that type of hunger that you saw, especially even with Tuchel at the end, you know, during as well. That type of hunger, passion is what you want to see week in, week out.
And I'm sure we're going to get that from another one of our players. As I mentioned earlier, guys, Conor Gallagher in for the injured and N'Golo Kanté in midfield next to Jorginho today. Came on off the bench against Spurs. We can see a little bit of his highlights here. Abby, how excited are you to just watch him actually start a game for Chelsea and to be able to be in a team that controls a midfield?
Yeah, obviously you mentioned Kanté injured, Kovacic. Well, this is a huge opportunity for him to stake his claim. I am your midfielder this season. Play me as much as possible. And I'm so excited to see him in action. He was an incredible player for Palace last season. I was looking at his stats earlier. 8 goals, 3 assists in 33 games. I mean, that's like a goal involvement every 3 games. Like, an incredible player. I mean, I'm hoping that he brings us some goals today. But, yeah, so excited for him. Huge opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sam, Abby mentioned it there, he had a very good record, but he played in a slightly further up the pitch. He played in a slightly more advanced role for Palace. He's playing slightly more central, isn't he, next to Jorginho. How do you think he's going to adapt to that role? Because we didn't see much of him in that role at Palace.
I think he'll be fine. I think he played a few games there during pre-season. Tuchel's been honest and open about his development in that position and what he demands from him. But the fact that he told him quite soon after the season ended and said that you are part of my plans, and you're seeing him play the pre-season games, you're seeing him come on in the last few minutes against Spurs and have a serious impact. It's clear that Tuchel trusts him to do that position. Obviously, losing Kanté and Kovacic to injury isn't great, but at the same time, when you've got players like Gallagher and Loftus-Cheek as well, who's next to him, I think he'll be fine.
We're talking of Ruben, Sam, you took the words right out of my mouth, because Abby, he was absolutely sensational against Spurs and undroppable.
Absolutely, he had to be rewarded for that performance. Just dropped a masterclass against Spurs, didn't he? He was absolutely brilliant. His dribbling, just absolutely phenomenal. Kept progressing us up the pitch. And I feel like he's Thomas Tuchel's Swiss Army knife, honestly. He gets us out of tricky situations and he can kind of play anywhere, he's proving. Such an adaptable player. And I think if he gets back to his best, the best that we know that he's got, it could be a big season for him. Yeah,
I mean, Anthony's tweeted there, he played at right wing-back and bossed it. His dribbles were top-notch, his touches were superb. Perhaps unlucky not to find the back of the net. He had a couple of little chances, didn't he? And Udit said, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, what a game this lad had. If he's back to his best, man will be cooking. Sam, this could be one of the all-time great comebacks when you think of how good he was next to Hazard under Sarri, and that awful injury. But to come back, maybe right wing back is his position under Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People underestimate what it is to come back from such like horrific injuries, especially when you're playing in a competitive team. You want to, you know, work your way back. You might not get as much minutes in a position that you know you're comfortable with, but the fact that he showed that he's versatile to play right wing back, and even in the formation that we play, sometimes you see him drifting into the middle. He's still as dominant, but Tuchel trusts him. Tuchel knows what he can do. He said in the press conference after that, you know, he's a player that he doesn't know whether he should praise him too much because he doesn't want him to drop that 1% low, because he knows when you're at the top of your game, you're so hard to play against. He can literally take on his opponents, and he's so strong. So we want to see that week in, week out.
Such an exciting time, such an exciting match for both Conor Gallagher and Ruben Loftus-Cheek today. Right, let's head over to Elland Road then, where Matt Davies-Adams is for us.
A very good afternoon and a very warm welcome to a beautiful Elland Road. Lovely day in this part of West Yorkshire. Chelsea arriving here in the bright sunshine and hoping to do something they've never previously managed. If they win today, it will be the first time the Blues have ever recorded back-to-back away league wins against Leeds United. Of course, it was a pretty comfortable stroll towards the back end of last season here. 3-0 the score there. The last time I was here was the 0-0 draw during the COVID season. No supporters and a rotten pitch. You might remember Leeds bought it off Tottenham and basically it was covered in sand. It meant that the game finished goalless. It had a real impact on it too, but look at this. Beautiful today, absolutely perfect conditions for football. This stand behind me is the John Charles stand. This is where the Chelsea supporters will be based. If I spin around, you can see the Jack Charlton stand. That's the biggest, holds 15,000 people. The rest of the ground looking maybe a little bit tired. It's a beautiful old stadium, but there are plans to do some renovation, and you can see here and there that it could do with a lick of paint. They bought this ground, Leeds, in 1919. They paid the princely sum of £250. If you put that into modern money, current interest rates, what do you reckon? 250 billion, something like that. It's a place with a lot of history. It's held FA Cup semi-finals, it's held England matches. Some games at Euro 96 were played here too, and there was some Chelsea involvement there. Dan Petrescu played for Romania on this ground during that tournament as a Chelsea player. And future Blues Marcel Desailly and Didier Deschamps also took to the pitch at Elland Road to represent their country during that tournament. Well, we know Chelsea come here without Mateo Kovacic, N'Golo Kanté and Armando Broja, but they do have Thomas Tuchel available to take his place on the touchline today. Now, there was a bit of a stramash here in the first home game of the season at full time between Jesse Marsch and the Wolves manager Bruno Lage. Sure, we're not going to get anything like that today, though. A handshake as warm as the day itself. This place is about to get very busy and very noisy. The Chelsea supporters, 3,000 of them, will have to play their part. Here's hoping the Blues can get the job done.
Thank you very much, Matt. I'm sure the Chelsea fans will play their part like they always do. And they played a part at Stamford Bridge on Sunday. And they gave this man, Kalidou Koulibaly, one of the best receptions.
Love it.
What an introduction, by the way. And what a performance, Abby. We couldn't have asked for much more, could we?
Honestly, we couldn't have asked more. This guy is absolutely incredible. It's looking like a bit of a steal, isn't it? Like, those tackles, that composure, the leadership he brings to the team. He's got so many good qualities. It's wearing the number 26 as well,
His
you know.
finish as well.
The celebration, I love him so much already.
I think most Chelsea fans would say that. It wasn't just his tackles and that finish, but his passing, and more specifically his passing through the lines, were absolutely credible. They beat the press of Spurs and they couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, he's so composed in those situations where two players might be drawing close. He did one thing where two of them were coming and he switched it to his left and then played it to Cucurella, and I was like, how did you do that? Like, in that situation, you could easily just tell him to clear it, but he's so composed when players are pressing, and he got the pass to in the first game to Chilwell to win the penalty as well. In that area, he's proven that he can score. He's proven that he can play the balls through the liners as well. He's a complete centre-back.
He is, and 34 million is barely anything. Still. It looks like that. And he, Koulibaly tweeted after the Spurs game saying this: happy with my first goal at Stamford Bridge, but disappointed with the draw. Kalidou Koulibaly, I think every single person was feeling the same way. We should have won, but come on, Chelsea. And he got a little bit of loving from another number 26, John Terry there. We all saw that lovely video of Koulibaly asking him to have his shirt, and he sent a blue heart, a football. Greatness appreciates greatness there. Kalidou said Koulibaly scoring from a Cucurella corner, hitting the Drogba celebration. We love that, don't we?
Made it for me.
It really did. And just finally, CFC Blues, the biggest positive was Kalidou Koulibaly, 34 million, looking like an absolute bargain. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. 100%.
34 million, especially in this day and age where people go for 60, 70, 80 million. 100%. 34 million.
Yeah, it's a steal. You can't say anything else. And I think you can tell the fact that Napoli did not want to let him go. They've not wanted to let him go for years. Like, even their owner will say how valuable he is to their history. A lot of English clubs have come in for him, but they knew how valuable he was. The fact that we got him and he's fitting straight away is just amazing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best in the world, like, in his prime. We've got him now.
Yeah.
Like, this is so exciting.
It looks like he's been playing in the Premier League for years. Right, that's it for the time being. Right, let's head over to the Chelsea Museum there, where these two ran riot. Let's have a look what they were up to.
I brought Sam here down to the Chelsea Museum. So Chelsea Leeds, massive rivalry, of course.
Big rivalry.
So I thought we could do a bit of a scavenger hunt. We're going to walk around the museum, see if we can find lots of Chelsea Leeds related stuff.
Yeah.
That's your challenge.
I'm ready. I'm ready. The nostalgia in this place is incredible.
Come on,
I'm sure
Sam.
we're going to find a few things.
Oh, I mean, there's so much.
Tops.
Look at this, like great boots. Obviously trophies, because Chelsea. Hang on, this is
Winners
one, isn't
only.
it?
Oh, the nostalgia. If I'm
That's
correct, that is Ron Harris's signature. Obviously, 795 appearances for the club, captained the club to the first FA Cup trophy against the bitter rivals, Leeds, you know.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful top, actually.
I love that.
I'm surprised they don't make cotton tops anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I would really like to see that back in the Premier League. Obviously, the players might not like it as much.
I love it, though. I love a vintage kit. That is one of my favourites as well, absolutely. Let's see what else we can find here.
There's so many things.
Incredible, isn't it? Oh, hang on. Another top here from that same final as well.
What is... Who's
Ian
that?
Hutchinson's.
Ian Hutchins.
It says there.
Hutchinson.
Number 10.
Number 10.
Incredible.
I love that. Was that the first... Is that the final? Was that the first leg of... No, it is the final.
Yeah, it is the final. I think that's the... And then there was obviously a replay, wasn't there? But that's the first... That's the first one there.
I think I've seen the replay here somewhere. I think it's the top that we tried to replicate. I think it's the 17-18 season.
Yeah.
When we had that top in the FA
Shirt
Cup.
wall. Come on, let's go this way. It's got to be around here, isn't it?
Look at all these. Look at the quality of these tops. Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, and here.
There we go.
Here, this
there we
one.
go.
This is such a beaut. Very
That
happy to
badge.
take this home if anyone will let me.
Honestly, that badge is incredible. What a
Absolutely
top
love
that is. And then obviously that's where we won 2-1 in extra time at Old Trafford. Got the victory against our bitter rivals. You know, it always feels sweet.
Can you remember, imagine at the time as well, like your first FA Cup win? Like, absolutely huge.
And the thing is
part of the history of this club forever, you know.
And those games, it's funny because when you look back on those videos, they were feisty.
Oh, absolutely. Those games, man.
They were trying to keep each other to bits. Okay.
Here we go.
Here we go. The
this
trophies.
Is it. Our packed trophy cabinet. This is what we like to see as Chelsea fans.
Few Champions Leagues, the medals.
Look at this. This is why we love this football club.
I might shed a tear.
Born winners. Okay, FA Cup's here, so this is it.
That is
First
the
one
first
right here.
FA Cup.
From 1970.
It still looks brand new.
Look at that. And what amazing success we've had since then as well.
That is amazing. What, 1917, and the next one was won in 1997. I believe there's medals somewhere.
Yeah. Check this one out
Okay. So it goes all the way back to 1954, but we've got the first FA Cup, and this is from Peter Houseman.
Oh, so his family have let us put it up in the museum as well, which is pretty special. Yeah, this has been good. I enjoyed the scavenger hunt. Well done, Sam. You were good.
Yeah, you know, I tried to keep it. I tried to not get sidetracked as well because there's so many boots and shirts that you can see as well. But it's amazing to see how big the rivalry is as well and how far it started. It started so many years ago as well. So it's incredible.
Yeah, bring on today. Let's do this.
Bring on today. I love that, Abby. Before we get into the Leeds versus Chelsea rivalry, you guys look like you had a great time.
Yeah.
Walking into that trophy room.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You kind of forget how many trophies we've won until you step into that room. It's almost like in your head you're hearing, oh!
That's the exact thing. It's honestly mind-blowing seeing it all in one place. And we must have been in there for hours.
Yeah, honestly.
Just walking around having a look. I think I sat down to watch the Champions League final, which was great.
Yeah.
Just wanted to see the final whistle. Getting into Leeds versus Chelsea then. It's a rivalry that maybe Chelsea fans of our age haven't necessarily witnessed as much because of bouncing between the leagues. But our parents, you might have been a Chelsea fan through your parents, your grandparents. It's a rivalry that goes back from the 1960s, 1970s, of course, that FA Cup final you guys mentioned. What do you know of the Leeds-Chelsea rivalry? Because even more recently, I feel like it's quite intense. It's just got a little something else to it, doesn't it, Abby?
Yeah, it does feel like those fixtures always get a little bit heated, don't they? So that rivalry's been long-standing. And, yeah, it was great to actually today go into the museum, looking through the archives and realising how long this rivalry goes back. And, so many important players like Osgood, obviously, has got his plaque up here at Stamford Bridge as well. So, yeah, it was amazing to learn a bit more history, if I'm honest, because I feel like those games against Leeds are always exciting, but, yeah, kind of realising it's full history,
Yeah, and I mentioned with the clips as well, when you see some of the games, like, they were really fierce, fierce fixtures. And even now, last year, the game that was here, the fans, they want to win, obviously every game, but this one, when I heard some of the Leeds fans, they were genuinely like, this is the game that they look forward to the most.
I feel like no matter what happens, if Leeds go down, if Leeds stay up or whatever, this will always be, Sam, an absolutely huge rivalry, no matter what.
Yeah, especially with what happened at the end of the last game, where, it was Jorginho penalty winning it last minute, and then Rudiger after the final whistle, that almost builds it to a more bigger occasion. And I think now you're going to see that same one in the game.
Absolutely. And talking of other rivalries, guys, because, it's nice to see I feel like Chelsea have quite a few rivalries. Abby, in a word, what is the fixture you look out for the most?
Spurs. It's got to be. It's a big derby, isn't it? And I think, you know, we have our thoughts as Chelsea fans on Spurs, I think. It's always a game that you look forward to. You know, we always bring our A game. But I suppose, kind of in more recent years, I really look forward to us playing Liverpool and City because that's us, isn't it? We're right up there at the top of the table. We play those kind of big teams and they're always huge clashes. So I think they're the kind of more recent rivalries for me.
And Sam, what about you? Because I feel like Chelsea Spurs, it's got over the boil a few times. You talk of the Battle of the Bridge and even, of course, the one last weekend. It got a little bit feisty on the touchline between Tuchel and Kanté.
Yeah, I'm like Abby. I like Spurs versus Chelsea, mainly because they're hurting the fact that we stopped them from winning their last big opportunity to win a major trophy. And now every game since then, you can almost see what it means to them. And it's nice to know that, you know, we wartime, we get the better of them.
Yeah, absolutely. That is nice. Let's just remind ourselves then of the Premier League fixtures or the results that have happened so far this weekend. The ones that stand out to me are, of course, the ones that affect us the most, Abby. Spurs 1-0 against Wolves. They almost ground out another result. But I wasn't necessarily that convinced on the performance again. Yeah.
From what I've seen, they, again, kind of snuck the win. They weren't really ruling the game particularly. I mean, obviously, they walk away with the 3 points. But, yeah, I'm not as convinced by them as maybe their fans are.
And it felt like a lot of the media, there was a lot of hype around Spurs at the start of the season. And there was a lot of hype around Arsenal, but perhaps maybe for better reason because, you know, we never know with Arsenal. Bournemouth away might be a game that they trip up on last season or a newly promoted side. But that was a comprehensive 3-0 win.
Yeah, they're looking really confident, and it's completely opposite to how they started last season. You know, 3 losses. Now they've got 3 wins. I think they conceded a goal. I think maybe they've conceded 1 or 2, but even at that, they always look confident to scoring goals. And the signings that they've made with Gavi Jesus, how confident he's looking and how well he's playing with that. With the opportunity to be the main man, the main striker. I think, yeah, Arsenal are definitely a team to worry about this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, this is a fun part, or the funnest, maybe not, we'll see. It is time to do a trivia question. Now, just to say, I have not seen this either. Oh, okay. And usually on Matchday Live, we do a quiz, but we've switched it up a little bit, and all 3 of us are going to look at this question and see if we can find an answer to it. We don't want any answers now. We're going to answer together at half-time. Let's take a look then at the question. And it is that when Peter Osgood scored the equaliser in the 1970 FA Cup final replay versus Leeds, he became the last player and 9th in total to achieve this. But what is it? I wish you could see our faces. I wish you could have seen our faces in that moment. All 3 of us were just like...
No, I was trying to get the wording right, just so I know the question, but...
So I'm glad I've got help, and we've got time to think, is all I can say.
We have a good 40... We've got like nearly an hour, I think, or longer maybe, to think about this, guys. Our faces didn't fill me with confidence, to be perfectly honest.
We'll get it. I feel like
I've got an idea.
OK, good. That's a start.
I won't discuss it now to embarrass myself. Off air.
OK, let's do that. Right, time to head over to the warm-up then, and Ben and Jason will be taking you through it.
Everybody, the warm-up is brought to you by our sponsors Trivago. Wherever we go, Trivago is with us. And now they bring us to Elland Road to follow the warm-up of the Blues for this match against Leeds United. Ben Andrews and Jason Cundy here watching Edu Mendy in the West Yorkshire sunshine. In terms of the trivia, Ben and Jason, big hands up here. We both know the answer, so no, but we're not going to tell you what it is. It is a good one. A small clue.
Oh, here we go. Give me clues.
A small clue, people. For a little while, a few seasons ago, Pedro was in the mix.
Yes, very close.
For doing it, and I'll say no more. So, as we watch Edu Mendy and the boys warming up, Jason, your thoughts on the team selection? Just one change, and that's an enforced one, isn't it, with N'Golo hamstrung for now, and a big day.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Benjamin. It is a big day for him. It's his first full debut. Of course, he's come off the bench against Spurs. I thought Ruben was excellent and deserves his place in the side. The question is how does he put Ruben in there? Does he go right wing back again, or does he play alongside Jorginho? And then maybe Aspie can come back and Reece. But he's decided to go with what he went against Spurs. And it's hard to disagree with that, bearing in mind how good we were against Spurs. So, yes, one or two selection Problems for him to have, but really interesting to see how Connor plays in there. Really looking forward to seeing this young man make his full first team debut.
Huge moment for him and his family. If you don't know the backstory on Conor Gallagher, he really is from a Chelsea family. He's a fan. His family are fans through the system as well. Was a Premier League Cup winning captain in that Jody Morris youth team that won basically every game, basically every week, in basically every competition. And a different kind of midfielder from Kovacic, from Jorginho, from N'Golo, very different.
Yes, but has the energy levels of N'Golo. You know, really does get himself, really doesn't seem to get tired. From minute 1, he's got the same energy as minute 90. That is something he really does, has added to Crystal Palace's midfield last season. And you know, he deserves his place in this squad. Now he's got his chance to play. How's he going to take it? Because, you know, there are so many players in this squad with not just Chelsea appearances, but we're talking, you know, internationals, one major European World Cups. So that's the midfield he's up against right now, but wish him all the best.
Yes, and don't forget Conor Gallagher with not a unique distinction, but not far off, making his England debut before he made his Chelsea debut, which is pretty bonkers. Right, 2 out of 3 points for 3 points, folks. Some of the matters coming into this game. Number 1, Jason, I want to talk about continuing the intensity from that Tottenham match. The levels of intensity and the press. Yes, the result went wrong. Yes, let's not go over all the refereeing stuff, but the principles of that, Tottenham actually couldn't handle Chelsea, and that we'll need that here because it'll be feisty. Yes,
indeed, and that's what set us apart in that first half. I thought we were outstanding against Spurs. Yes, we need to keep that up. Ball retention is absolutely crucial as well. I thought we kept the ball really well against Spurs. I thought our passing was sharp, the movement was good. Yeah, of course, what we needed was to get that, you know, to finish them off. But I really felt that part of our game. When you look at how we played against Arsenal in pre-season and Everton, that was missing. That was missing badly. Against Spurs, it was in abundance. So yes, and once we get that ball, keep it, frustrate Leeds, quiet the crowd if we can as well, because this is a very, very. Just heard the guys this year talking about the history of this football club with Leeds. It's an unbelievable atmosphere there. One of the best atmospheres I've played is at Elland Road, and the fans, the 2 sets of fans, make it a really special occasion.
Reece James there, key to that intensity. We see him when he is in the back 3, as he continues to be here. Maybe you lose him crossing a bit, but you get him adding to the bodies in midfield, which brings us to our second point. Extra bodies in the box, Jason. This is it's been a little bit of a bugbear, this, I think, for you and I, and for probably a lot of Chelsea fans over for quite a long time, going back a couple of managers, that maybe there's 1 or 2 in there when you want 3 or 4, and Connor there, and Ruben, and maybe even Reece when he joins in with midfield, being an extra option to arrive onto a cross.
Well, if you look at the goals that we don't have from midfield, you know, look at Jorginho, doesn't score an open play. N'Golo Kanté rarely scores. Cover rarely scores. You know, and that's a big part of our pitch, that if we can add 5 or 6 or get into double figures, that's a real bonus. We don't get enough goals from midfield. That's been a problem historically. And you're absolutely right, Ben. Connor, can he go and buy a ticket? Go on, go and gamble. You know, but it's doing it at the right time, Ben. What you don't want to do is overcommit and get down on the counter-attack. That would be a fear there as well. But wide men, you know, can we get Ruben in the box at right wing? Can we get Cucurella in and around that box as well? So it's just the central midfield, lads. It's everyone. If it's on that left-hand side, can Ruben, look at the size of him, can he be an extra body in the box?
Well, it's a fair bit to expect any of them to be a Frank Lampard, if you like, but they are at the other end of the spectrum, as you said, the players you've listed there. But Conor Gallagher, 8 goals, and actually most of them in the first half of last season for Palace, and he scored plenty for Charlton, for Swansea, for West Brom as well. Definitely that option there. And our final point, getting that second goal, killing the game off. Haven't been 2 goals up in either of the games yet. And this was another bit of a bugbear, wasn't it, last year? Especially at home, funnily enough, not so much away, where the record was better. I can think of a lot of home games. Scored the first goal, much the better side, didn't get the second, and then at Everton, or not Man United, Burnley. There were loads of games like that. Where
Spurs last week, Ben.
And Spurs last week, twice.
Twice. And all 3 points, actually, are quite linked. If you look at the first one we're talking about, continue the intensity. What then you allude to is, once you are on top of a game, and you are you're dominating possession, and you've got the opposition where you want them. We had Spurs where we wanted them, and we had chances to get that second goal. We had good chances, not just territorially with the ball, but real opportunities to get that second goal. And when you don't do that, they're in the game still. We let Spurs off the hook twice. Not to get that second goal was a bit of it was criminal, really. But look, the lads will know that, but it has been a problem for us. But you're absolutely right, dropping points from games where we've absolutely been the better side, not to come away with 3 points. Again, summed up last week, very similar. So yes, when you're on top, get that second goal and kill the game.
Yes, away from home, not so much of a problem. Easily the third best away record last season in the league. In fact, the last 2 seasons, more points away from home for the Blues than at Stamford Bridge. And we'll expect Leeds to come on, I guess, not quite in the Bielsa way, but what have you seen of Jesse Marsch's side that might be of concern, or what should Chelsea just be aware of?
Well, Rodrigo's got 3 goals in 2 games. That you know, he's up top. Bamford is out. He will go down the middle, so he's in fine goal-scoring form. Set pieces is always something, Ben, I look at, and you know, I feel we can capitalise on. Leeds scored a set piece against Southampton last week. It's an out-swinging corner towards the edge of the 6-yard box, flicking it towards that far post. I no doubt that someone would have done the homework, but watching the highlights package as I did, there was a couple of chances they created from that. You know, and defend those set pieces, Ben. We come undone against Spurs. You know, it was a really well taken set piece, bent in towards that centre of that near post. Make sure you deal with that near post once that ball comes in. But look, Leeds they're doing okay, Leeds, actually. I mean, it's difficult to say because Jesse Marsch came in on the back of Bielsa, as we well know, and he was saying that he felt the squad was tired, that it had been overworked, overrun. He's now in a pre-season with them, and it's now his team, his philosophy. This will be a game they'll feel they can get something out of. You know, they scored 4 goals, 2 in each game. They're in good goal scoring form. They'll be disappointed, obviously, not take 2 points going 2-0 up against Southampton. And yeah, that was a. So there you go. That probably gives you an idea that yes, they can be got at, but they score goals as well.
Indeed they can, just like Chelsea. They've got 4 points out of 6, Leeds, and they will feel, with some justification, it should be 6 out of 6. They beat Wolves and they did chuck away a 2-goal lead, not like Chelsea's twice over 1-goal lead. So we've got 2 sides unbeaten in this very early season, both trying to get to 7 points here in the West Yorkshire sunshine. They look like they're in a good mood out there in the warm-up, and before we go back to the studio, we are going to hear from the boss. Here's Thomas Tuchel, who had an easy game against Leeds last term here, and a difficult one at the Bridge that was only won by that VAR penalty. Tony Rudiger 3-2 right at the end. Here is TT.
So Thomas, how's the week been? A rare, clear week. I guess you can't get used to many more of those.
Yeah, I think we have one more. We have one more to go, and we're enjoying it because we have the possibility to try exercises, new exercises, to train high intensity, to train with a full group together. Nobody that is in the recovery training or something like it's nice, and it's necessary for us to develop our identity and find our identity and to develop our strengths. It's good for us that it's like this, and we're enjoying it.
And just how impressed were you with Ruben Loftus-Cheek last week at wing-back and also in midfield later?
Very much, very much. He knows it, and with Ruben it's always, like, to be very honest, I'm always struggling to tell him how good it was, because I'm always in fear that he will drop 1 little percent in the next game. So I feel that he needs the support, and he needs also to feel the love of everybody around him. So he needs a lot of support, but at the same time he needs also to be pushed, because sometimes he struggles to show everybody how strong he is. He can manage to play games where nobody in the stadium sees it, how strong he is. And I was so happy that he finally, in pre-season and now in the last 2 matches, and especially of course in the 90 minutes against Tottenham, he proved it to everybody. So now the next step is not to get lost in too much applause and positive feedback, not to get lost in overthinking, but just to do it again. This is the next step, and by doing again, I mean in Leeds, just do it again, please, Ruben, do it again. And this is where we need to encourage him and show him also the way how to do this, because this is the next step for him.
We've seen him excel in different positions. Will that flexibility help him and also you this season?
Yeah, it helps him, clear, yes. I think this is nothing new for him, that people struggle to identify clearly a position for him. He has so many talents, he has so many weapons, sorry for the word, in his game, so many skills, that he can play several positions. At the moment, on this half position, sometimes wing back on the side of the match, it helps him. I have the feeling a little bit to know where the pressure comes from and to play with a bit more confidence in his dribblings and in one-against-ones, in accelerations, because this is what we want, that he plays with freedom and with the confidence also in offensive actions, and it's good at the moment, very good.
Which brings us nicely onto a certain Reece James, having a fully fit Reece available again, providing goals, assists, the crosses that we saw at the weekend, defensive stability. It's like having two players, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, at some point last season, I made the joke that we normally hoped for two Reece James, one in the back three and one in the wing back, but he's good, and he is always also a little bit like Ruben. He needs the love and the appreciation and the positive feedback and support from us, but he needs also a push constantly. And he gets better when the challenge is, when the going gets tough. Then he becomes better, and then he steps up. And this is the next step for him, to find this gear from itself. Am I surprised? No. I know what he can deliver. I see it on a daily basis, but to deliver it over 90 minutes now in the last two matches is also a step, because this is what it is. Nobody's doubting his skills, nobody's doubting his potential. It's about delivering in a match with focused, and keep the focus level up, keep the concentration level up, and doing it to a level of being totally exhausted. These are the next steps for Reece, and he's in a very good way. He was very strong.
Finally then, Thomas, coming full circle, I know you spoke last week about how pleased you were with the passion that you saw against Tottenham. Are you expecting something similar this weekend?
We have to match the passion from Leeds. This is, for me, absolutely sure. This is a very passionate club, very passionate stadium, emotional crowd, and they play in a very high intense game of pressing, counter-pressing, pressing and counter-pressing. So if we don't match, in my opinion, we cannot go there and just play totally calm. At some point, we need to accept the emotions, we need to accept the intensity and passion of the game and match it. Then it's also very important to keep a calm head and to understand where the spaces are, where the open spaces are. Because there are open spaces in any match, but they're only for some seconds, because they have this huge amount of physical input that they put in every game. So we know what's coming, and we need a good mix of matching the passion, but also playing with a cool head.
Always great to hear from the boss, Thomas Tuchel. Abby, he will be on the touchline today.
Yes.
For such a big fixture and such a big game. How important is it that the players will have him there?
So important. He's an incredible manager. We were actually just talking while that was rolling out. I think he might be one of my favourite Chelsea managers. Honestly, I just think he's incredible. Like he always gets it tactically spot on. He's a really genuine person as well. He's a great leader.
Honest,
yeah, it's gonna mean so much to the team to have him there.
And Sam, when we look at, you know, Abby said about his tactics, we couldn't work out when we were playing Spurs whether we were playing 3 at the back, whether we were playing 4 at the back, what was going on. But in terms of him being that was a tactical masterclass from Tuchel, and that is something that we've seen a lot of times over his time at Chelsea, haven't we?
Yeah, tactically he's so versatile. Once he trusts the players, and you see that he trusts the players, and you can almost see that oozing from them as well when they're playing in those games against Spurs. I saw some analysis about how he changed from a 3 to a 4, and then what happens to Ruben and Cucurella during that time, and it's just such a smooth system, and obviously it takes a lot of training and a lot of thought, but the way he communicates with the fans, and when he's in interviews, you can tell he's a very clear communicator. It's easy for them to understand what he wants from them. And then even if he gets it wrong, he'll say that as well. And you need that from managers. You need them to be honest and open, and he seems to be the perfect manager.
Do you think there's similarities between Tuchel as a manager and Jurgen Klopp as a manager, and the job he's done at Liverpool in terms of what characteristics he has as well?
Yeah, I do think that the team now clearly know their plans always, don't they? It's definitely been drilled into them. I just hope Tuchel stays around and gets the kind of contract Klopp's got, where he can, you know, he can really build a team, really kind of put his mark on this Chelsea team. He already has, hasn't he? Really, in such a short space of time, he's won us some silverware. So yeah, long may it continue.
The biggest one of them all as well, which was very nice. Sam, one problem, Ben and Jace were talking about it just a second ago. Chelsea haven't been 2-0 up yet this season. Should have been against Spurs, but even Thomas Tuchel, even going back to Frank Lampard, that seems to have been an ongoing theme with Chelsea in terms of not putting the ball in the back of the net. I'm hoping we're not going to be sat here at half-time having the same conversation.
No, we say that quite a lot. We said that quite a lot last season as well. It's been, you see some of the situations, we've seen some tight offsides as well, when some of the goals, when they go in, it can affect confidence. But I think performance-wise, it's always been to a certain standard. But if we start scoring goals and inserting our dominance with those goals, that's when you'll start seeing us ease, and then, you know, maybe more exciting football will happen. But when you have the 1-0s and then it's nearing to the 80th minute, you start seeing nerves, and you don't necessarily want that in such a big game.
And just quickly, just one word on Mason Mount. He scored home and away against Leeds. He scored against them for Derby as well. Could this be the moment we see Mason Mount get his first goal of the season?
Absolutely. He loves a game against Leeds, doesn't he? I've weirdly got a feeling Sterling's going to score today. I'm just putting it out there into the ether. I just have a feeling.
You've taken the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to ask you for a prediction. But first, we'll go first goal scorer. So you going Raheem Sterling?
Yeah, I'll go Sterling for first goal, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go Sterling as well.
Oh, come on, switch it up.
I'll go.
We'd love to see both backing Raheem Sterling.
I'll go Havertz.
You're going high to be clinical. Obviously a big game. We want to build off that performance. Are we going to see a similar sort of performance, and what do you think the score's going to be, Abby?
I'm going to go 3-1. I think we are going to make the most of our chances, but I think Leeds are going to sneak one. A player like Rodrigo's in great form at the moment and scored.
Don't say that.
Scored a lot. But it's just going to be the one goal, and we're going to get the win.
What sort of game are you expecting, Sam? Because Leeds at Stamford Bridge gave us a really tough game last season. It was more comprehensive, a 3-0 win at Elland Road last season, but they can be tough to beat at times, can't they? Yeah,
and I just don't want the team to underestimate them and know the type of game it is and know the hype around it as well. Score early, you know, not go gung-ho, but, you know, score at the right times, put pressure on them at the right times, and know when they're going to put pressure on us that you have to be able to soak it in. That's like what you want to see in this type of game.
So what do we reckon then, Sam?
2-0.
2-0 Chelsea. Right, before we head over to Elland Road, let's just have a reminder of that trivia question, guys. Again, when Peter Osgood scored the equaliser in the 1970 FA Cup final replay versus Leeds, he became the last player and only 9th in total to achieve this. But what is it?
The last player.
We will get the answer at half-time. But now kick-off is slowly approaching, so let's head over to the two that are going to take you through the game. Leeds against Chelsea, Ben Andrews and Jason Cundy.
Hello and welcome everybody to Game 3 of the new season, and let's hope it's a belter. It ought to be. Chelsea are at Elland Road. The players are in the tunnel. It's Leeds United away, and it could be just as feisty as last Sunday's Tottenham debacle. 4 points from 6 so far for the Whites and for the Blues, and both will justifiably contend that the tally could have been even better, indeed should have been even better. But forget that. Lovely sunshine awaits these players in West Yorkshire. Jorginho talking to the mascot in the mouth of the Elland Road tunnel. Rodrigo with the captain's armband for Leeds United. Ready to go. Good afternoon, Mr. Cundy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Benjamin. Yes, Elland Road is always one of those grounds that you can't wait to go to as a player and as a fan. The travelling Chelsea supporters up there will be looking forward to this. There is always a bit of spite. There is always a little bit of poison between these two sets of fans. I was at Stamford Bridge in 1984 in the 5-0 last game of the season.